Welcome to Live the Final Third with Stephen Kilbreath. More life, more stories, and more ahead. Through hopeful, honest conversations, we'll talk with people turning experience into purpose, connection, and impact. These are real stories from real people creating real momentum. Live the Final Third shines a light on people using experience, curiosity, and heart to make a difference in this season of life, including some familiar voices from Stephen's years in the media business. Because the Final Third might just be the best one yet.
Hey there, on today's show, we have the associate publisher for Premier Media, and it is Scott Paine is going to be sitting in this chair in a few moments. Scott has had a wonderful career of radio and TV and is now the associate publisher, like I mentioned, of 425 magazine, among many other magazines. And my goodness, how do you make a magazine successful in this day and age? Well, these folks know how to do it, and they have been very successful with 425. But Scott's always got some great stories to tell us, one including Oprah. We're going to hear about Jimmy Kimmel. We're going to hear about the Brothers Four, which is a group his dad was in. It's all coming up. And by the way, I want to let you know, if you want more information about Live the Final Third and kind of why we're doing what we're doing, you can go to the website, get all the details you can on there. You can also help us out by donating. Currently, we don't have any sponsors. So if you like own a business or a magazine and you want to sponsor us, you're more than welcome to do that. Trevor's laughing, but we have to pay for Trevor's clothing budget and also the coffees and things like that. Plus, it'd be great to give the guy some money since he's volunteering his time to do this. I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, and I know that all the people that help us out with the lighting and the cameras, it's not more than one person. It's just Trevor sitting behind the camera. So we want to help him get some funds for this. So you can donate right now through our website and help us out there. And again, thanks, Trevor. Appreciate you. And now we'll go to the conversation with Scott. I'm not sure why Trevor's telling you to avoid camera 3. You can look in there, Scott, if you want. Go ahead, look in there. Got it. There you go.
Oh,
that's it.
There's leaning involved.
There's leaning involved. That's it.
Physical exercise.
That's it. And I can lean into this one.
Oh,
there you go. This is how we do it here. This is our
Lean and Mean.
Lean and Mean. There you go. Live the Final Third podcast. Scott Paine, great to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Stephen.
Scott is the associate publisher for Premier Media, right?
Yes.
And then you guys, how many magazines do you publish now?
We're now up to 6.
6, and it all started with?
Well, originally, the company was started with a publication. It was a wedding and events magazine. And the owners of our company, Premier Media Group, decided to get into publishing and tried that to get started with. But they then started a publication called South Sound Magazine that covers King County, Pierce County, Thurston County. But I was contacted in 2005 and told that this young entrepreneur had an idea for an East Side focused magazine. And the person that was telling me this said, the only problem is this guy is not from the East Side. You are. You two need to meet. So we met for coffee. He told me what his plan was for 425 magazine. And I left that meeting going, this kid is too good to be true. He answered every question I asked him. So then I called a few people that had worked with him and worked for him previously. They all said the same thing. Honest, ethical, well-financed, doesn't play games. I called him back and I said, I will commit 1 year to you and help you get 425 magazine launched.
Yeah.
So that was in 2005. But since that time, we have started several publications and we've purchased a couple of publications. So we're now at 6.
Yeah, that's awesome. In this day and age, it's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. Where does the success come from of these 6 publications? I mean, in this day and age when you walk down the aisle at Safeway or QFC or whatever, and it used to be a whole row of magazines, and now there's not very many.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, the majority of our readers are subscribers that choose to receive our publications either at home or at their office. But I think what has contributed to our success is we've hired some really good writers, really good photographers. I mean, obviously, I'm proud of the product. I think we produce a really good product. And we've been very fortunate with 425 in particular, the interest in this area, the 24 cities that make up the 425 area code. Originally, we were getting calls locally, regionally. Now we're getting calls nationally and now internationally. So people are curious about life here on the East Side.
Do you think it's unique to here, or are there other magazines like this across the country and other
there are
demographics or other places?
Although we're not formatted after them. But I think that it was fortuitous timing on our part, having launched 425 back the first issue came out in 06. But I think that what the growth that has occurred on the East Side has contributed to the interest level in what's going on here. And the tech sector, I think, being the biggest factor.
Yeah.
And
you say the majority of the people are subscribers.
Yes.
So is that unusual also in like the publication business?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
So that's how most people are getting any sort of magazine or whatever that they're getting is through subscribing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing that I believe differentiates our publications from others is that all of ours are subscription based, meaning you have to purchase it. It ain't free. It doesn't just show up in your mailbox.
So when you had that meeting in 2005 or 6 or whenever it was, what were you doing at that time?
I was working for myself.
Okay.
I was doing freelance consulting. And I'd love to tell you this was all part of the plan, but I was offering my marketing consulting services to a variety of companies and enjoying it. Just the freedom that comes with when you're working for yourself. It was kind of nice.
Yeah. Well, this, and then we've talked about before when we've had lunch and things like that about the radio career, and we're going to get to that in a second here. But it seems like there's been a lot of great opportunities. What do you attribute that to?
Certainly a fair amount of luck, being at the right place at the right time, and I do believe that quite honestly, knowing the right people is also a key factor. In other words, I've been very fortunate to have been aware of people who are in a position to be aware of an opportunity, and thankfully they thought of me and called and reached out.
Yeah. So you grew up in Connecticut.
I was
Born there, but grew up here.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. Shortly after I was born, Mom and Dad left the East Coast and came out here because they actually met at the University of Washington.
Oh, okay.
They met the day that they were crowned May Day King and Queen.
May Day, so like official May Day.
Yes,
so,
the UW flew up Esther Williams from Los Angeles,
Okay.
the Hollywood star, to come up here and crown my mother and father.
That's awesome.
May Day King and Queen. At this time, my mother was engaged to another guy.
Okay.
Claims that she meets my father, falls in love, calls off the engagement, and starts dating Dad.
Okay. Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, and
that
so they at the University of Washington.
Yes.
And then so you grew up in Bellevue.
I did.
And where did you go to high school in Bellevue?
Went to Bellevue High School.
Bellevue High School.
Yes. So close, so convenient.
Yes. What do you in those days when you're growing up? What was the upbringing like in Bellevue?
Well, Bellevue was great. My specific upbringing, I think, was a little bit unusual or different. And I became aware of this because so many of my friends' fathers would, leave for work, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, go to an office, come home 5, 6 o'clock at night, sit down, have dinner with their family. My father, because he was a professional musician, was very often gone. He was on tour. He was on the road a lot. And so I grew up early on realizing that our family and the way that we were spending time was a little bit different than your traditional family back in the 1960s.
Yeah. Did you when you have your dad, and we can get into that because I know that these are all great stories of growing up and things of that nature. But what you don't know any different because you're a kid, so that's kind of how it goes. But did you understand the like when you were little and stuff, the fame that came with that, with what he was doing?
I became aware of it over time. But what's funny is, as I look back on it, I think, those early years, I just thought that was normal for, a camera crew to show up and for there to be lights and photographers and people asking questions, because so often that happened, at our home. And so I didn't know any differently.
Yeah. Did you ever tell everybody what the group was?
The group was called the Brothers Four. They were a group of 4 guys, 4 fraternity brothers, who were all at the University of Washington, that formed originally as a way to, the whole impetus, if you will, is to meet girls.
Mm-hmm.
They would go perform.
That's why you become a musician.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They would perform at the sororities. And they got a weekend gig at a very well-known place down in San Francisco. It was called the Hungry Eye. And they had the opportunity to perform, and in the audience just happened to be the manager of the jazz pianist Dave Brubeck. The guy's name was Mort Lewis. Mort sees the Brothers Four, hears the Brothers Four, comes up to them afterwards, says, I think I can get you a record deal with Columbia Records because I want to represent you guys. Goes back to New York. They sign with Columbia Records. All of a sudden, those four guys all quit UW. Our college days are done. All of a sudden, we're musicians. We're getting paid to tour all over the United States to play our guitars and sing.
Did you, in growing up in that, when did they hit? I mean, when was the biggest?
Their most successful years were prior to the Beatles arriving, in all honesty. So very early 60s, when the folk music era was coming to fruition. So it was the Brothers Four, Kingston Trio, Peter, Paul, and Mary. Bob Dylan was kind of the odd man out in that he was doing his own thing. But I'll make this quick. My dad tells a great story about Bob Dylan came up to my dad knowing that my dad smoked at the time, bummed a cigarette from him, and then they both went out behind this building to share a cigarette and shared stories about, what it was like to play, in a band versus being a solo folk artist.
Yeah. I mean, so many great stories passed on. I mean, there's probably just countless. You could probably tell so many different things. Didn't they play with the Beatles?
They opened for the Beatles, yes. And they were just, I say lucky, but Ed Sullivan was a fan of the Brothers Four. And in 1964, knowing that the Beatles were coming to the United States to do their first tour, and certainly Ed knew that they were going to be playing the Ed Sullivan Show, Ed called and said, would you guys like to open for the Beatles knowing you only get to perform one song and there's no pay? And they said yes.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something you would say yes to, for sure. Yeah, that was great. And was that on the actual show that the Beatles were on to? Or
no.
Is it a concert?
This was Ed Sullivan was on the board of directors of the United Cerebral Palsy Foundation in 1964. He was in charge of the entertainment for their biggest fundraiser of the year, which was at the Paramount Theater in New York City. And so he knew that the Beatles would sell a few tickets. And so on September 20th, I have a photo of the marquee of the theater that night, and I have a copy of the ticket stub with the price tag $2.50.
Yeah, that's a pretty good deal. Which probably in those days people thought, my gosh, $2.50, it's over $2.
Outrageous.
That's outrageous. Yeah. So did you want to be a musician when you were growing up? Did you want to take over that kind of
I didn't have
life?
any aspirations. I mean, I did take piano lessons for a whopping 4 months, and I learned the scales, but I got bored so quickly.
Yeah.
So I quit taking lessons, but I just used to improvise just to entertain myself, but I never pursued music seriously.
Yeah. I mean, I took lessons as a kid. I can play at the beginning of Hill Street Blues. That's about it. But the interesting thing is that you didn't, a lot of times people want to emulate that, especially with some of the fame and things that were coming from that. Do you think that is why you got interested in radio, was because of that? Or do you think that that's something that was just in you? Because didn't you go right into radio and wanting to be on the radio? And that was kind of your thing?
I think being around music as much as I was a factor. And it was the music that really prompted me to pursue radio. Long story short, one of the responsibilities I had to earn my weekly allowance is I had to do weeding in our front yard. And I would bring my radio with me when I would have to go weeding outside. And one day I remember listening to KJR, and the thought came to me, this guy that I'm listening to is in a studio right now getting paid to play music. Where do I sign?
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah. We were probably listening to the same DJs at that time.
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
I mean, anybody who grew up here was listening to KJR.
Sure. Yeah. I had my little transistor radio.
Yeah, that's great. Who do you remember who was on the air during those times?
I don't remember the specific personality. I don't.
Yeah.
I would assume perhaps Pat O'Day back then, but I don't remember specifically who that was that day.
Yeah, but I'm sure we can all remember the jingles from back then, right? So KJR Seattle, Channel 95.
Channel 95,
so
yes.
There you go. But yeah, so you when you were a kid, then you were like, I want to be in music and talk on the radio.
Well, I knew that I wanted to be in that environment, and it's funny because I didn't necessarily aspire to be the on-air personality, but I just knew that there was something very special about music when I heard it, and I was exposed to classical, jazz, folk, rock, all different types of music. I just knew that I felt great when I was in an environment where I was hearing music.
Yeah. Do you think if you were growing up now, do you think there's kids in this day and age that are in their teens or younger than that feel the same way about music, or is it just changed so much?
No, I mean, certainly the music industry has changed a great deal, but I think music is such an amazing thing. I think, it affects us all differently, but I know that there's kids out there that react and have an emotional connection to music when they hear it.
For sure. Music is an emotional connection. I was meaning there's not really an outlet to hear people on the radio. I guess they want maybe emulate their favorite YouTube person or something like that. Maybe that's the same. I'm just trying to draw a parallel to kids today. Is there where we're listening to these people growing up, what is it for them these days?
Well, I think, back then, before video, it was all the audio.
Right.
It was based on what we heard through that little speaker.
Right.
These days, with TikTok and YouTube and all these, I think that they associate that artist, that song with a video. There's a visual image and I think that combination of the two is very powerful.
Yeah. It's funny because I got this jukebox a few years ago, and the kids were all gathering around it, and they loved it and all of that. And they're like, oh, let's fast forward through that song. I'm like, no, there's no skipping. You can't do that. You can't skip it. And then they were confused about the B-sides. They're like, why would you put a bad song on the B-side? And I'm like, well, you sell more records that way. What are you trying to do here?
Yes.
So it was just funny. There was a group of about 15 high school kids in here, and they're just like, we can't skip these songs, but we love them. So it's but that's what I was trying to think of. Is like today, I guess it's the TikTok stars or the YouTube people or something like that. Those are the people that they want to be like, I guess. Whereas I wanted to be, the people on the radio. So what brought you in? What was your first radio gig? How did you get into that?
Well, I was fortunate. I'm going to go back to my high school days. I was very fortunate in that Bellevue High School at the time had a high school radio station. And so in my junior year, I started in that. And the great thing there was that part of the curriculum was, you had to do an on-air shift. You had to learn how to cut tape. In other words, how to record a PSA, a public service announcement, and how to edit the tape together and run the board. And I took that class both my junior and senior year. And the week before I was scheduled to graduate from high school, I get called into the principal's office. John Price said, Mr. Paine, are you aware that you are 2 credits short of graduating with your class? He said, I would suggest you start preparing yourself for summer school. I immediately went running to my radio and television broadcasting teacher. And I said, Bill, there's no way I'm coming back for summer school. I said, you have to help me get out of here. He went through the program logs and totaled up the number of hours that I had done a radio show on the high school radio station. He then escorted me back to the principal's office, put them in front of Mr. Price and said, John, he said, here's what Scott has done on his own, above and beyond, outside of just school hours. He has put in over 600 hours with this radio station, either on the air or off the air. He said, you cannot tell me that's not worth at least 1 or 2 credits. Mr. Price looked at me and said, Mr. Paine, congratulations, you've just graduated from high school. So nice. Radio saved my tail.
Yeah.
And upon graduating, I sat down with my parents after that was behind me. I said, I have a little announcement to make. I said, someone will not be going on to college. My dad said, really? What are your plans there, big boy? I said, I'm going to pursue a career in radio and TV broadcasting. I applied for and got the lowest paying, most entry-level position I could at the #1 radio station in Seattle at the time, which was Cairo News Radio. I would go to work at 9 o'clock at night. My job was to produce the commercials that would then start the following morning in Morning Drive. So I was in a production studio, either voicing the tags, the 5 or 10 second tags for a Ticketmaster commercial for some show that is coming to the Paramount. And then I learned to run the board, and I became Wayne Cody's producer for an evening talk show called Sportsline, but my foot was in the door. And I did make a point to tell every person that I met in the radio station, regardless of their position, that I was here to learn. I was here to be a human sponge. This was my college.
And that, I think, is what drives you to success throughout your career, is because it's like, I'm willing to do anything. I'm not here because I want to be Wayne Cody. I'm not here because I want to be, the general manager. I'll take all those jobs, but it's just like, I'm here to learn and kind of get my focus and know where my trajectory is going to lead me. I think it's not, I think so many people, that I've talked to over the years, they get into radio and they're like, well, I want to be the morning show host. It's like, okay, well, good luck.
Yeah.
That's not, that you just don't, I mean, some
You don't
people
start out.
some people do. And, I know people sitting in chairs that probably happened to them, but I'm just saying that's not a general rule of how it all goes. Right. So, I mean, you really have to work at it. And I know we've talked about other people that later in your career that you worked with, and like Jimmy Kimmel, who worked in Seattle in radio and all of that, and got fired in Seattle, right? And so, but you have to put in all of that effort, and you can't. You just want to just keep going. I don't know where I'm rambling on, but it's because we're supposed to be talking to you.
No, it's
but
okay.
I think that's really the thing is you have to, in any job, I would think, go in and say, I'm here, I'm a sponge. Tell me what you know.
Yes, and I did. I felt at the time. I remember thinking, the more diverse my skill set could be, the more valuable I would become. In other words, that I would be an asset to that radio station. So I then started going out on, for radio remotes, and I had to put up the tent and do all the, kind of the dirty work, so to speak, but to show that willingness to do anything and everything that needed to be done, I think, I don't want to say sent a message, but it says, I'm a team player.
Right. So after Cairo, what did you work up the ranks at Cairo for a little while?
I worked at both Cairo AM and Cairo FM. At the time, was the call letters were KSEA. It was a beautiful music station.
That's right.
And it was automated overnight. So my job was to keep the radio station on the air, make sure that Montavani was still playing at 2:15 a.m.
Yeah.
So I worked both at Cairo AM and Cairo FM, but in my years at Cairo, because I was working overnights, that meant I had to sleep during the day, which was very difficult to do. My whole life was backwards. I lost 35 pounds over the 2.5, almost 3 years that I was at Cairo. I was smoking over a pack of cigarettes a day. I looked at myself in the mirror. I looked like death. I looked horrible. So I made the decision to change my lifestyle. I needed to get healthy quick, and I needed to do something that would give me the opportunity to live a life, because my whole life had been in a studio for, so I moved to Maui, Hawaii. And I was very fortunate in that I was aware of a family who was friends with our family that was willing to put me up until I got got situated. But I went over to Maui, and I ended up being a retail manager of 3 retail locations on the island of Maui. But I was kind of in over my head in that one of the locations, I had a full beauty salon. In addition to thousands of square foot of retail, I had women coming in that were getting their hair and makeup done. They were under the big giant blow dryers, right? And so here I am, a 22-year-old kid, and I'm managing these women that are in their 40s, 50s, and 60s that had been working retail for a very long time. But I had several stores. Long story short, though, one of my stores was in downtown Lahaina, right on Front Street. And it was called the Jeans Factory. And I had hired a young 18-year-old Hawaiian girl to work for me on her very first night that she was scheduled to close on her own. She invited her friends in to the store. They grabbed big 35-gallon hefty trash bags and filled them up with merchandise from the store.
Nice.
They ripped off the entire store. Back in this would have been what, 84, 85, when video cameras first came to fruition, the big shoulder-mounted video cameras. The entire robbery was caught on videotape by a tourist who happened to be walking by. Our front windows were all glass. There were no wooden doors. He videotaped the entire thing. When I came to open the store the next morning and saw that it was ransacked, obviously I went to the police. This guy came forward the very next day. When we went to her home, all of the merchandise that she and her friends had stolen were there.
Oh.
She didn't even attempt to hide it. We caught her red-handed. But because she was 18, the gentleman that owned our store decided to prosecute and try her as an adult. I had to go to court and testify that yes, that is her on the log, and that's the girl I hired, and yes, that is the girl on the videotape that's filled in the hefty bags, filled with jeans and t-shirts, and and so things kind of got a little weird after that time. And my parents came over on vacation, not knowing any of this had taken place, because I was a proud little 22-year-old boy. I wanted them to think that I was, handling things
For sure.
just fine.
Yeah.
My dad sensed that something was wrong, and it pulled me off to the side. He goes, something's going on. Tell me. And I told him. He looked at me and said, Scott, he goes, as your father, I'm not asking you. I'm telling you right now, get your ass home. This is not worth getting killed over. He said, go home.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
I came back.
Yeah. And so, and then, what drove you to go to Maui in the first place?
The idea of living on the beach and swimming
And
in the
having a
ocean.
normal life and not being overnight,
Yes, I wanted to do
yeah.
something that was completely 180 degrees the opposite. of
Yeah.
what I had been doing.
Yeah, yeah. And then you, did the woman go to do jail time?
She did do jail time. Yes, almost 5 years.
Yeah. Seems,
Well, there's a whole nother story, and I won't. In the interest of time, I won't go into all the details. But her father was the head of the Hawaiian syndicate.
Oh, well.
He was running all the prostitution and the drugs for the Hawaiian Islands. So when the police notified the FBI who this girl was that was they got involved.
Yeah.
So this whole thing got to a level. I called it my bad Hawaii 5-0 experience.
Yeah.
Someone
But you
used to call
hired
it-
her. I mean, the resume must have been good or something. So,
She had retail experience.
Yes.
She had worked at another store there on Maui, and she was very friendly and very outgoing. So yes, I hired her.
so you get back here, and then what's next?
I ended up getting a job at a local television station, KTZZ.
Oh,
TV.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
The old black and
22,
white.
right?
TV 22.
Yeah.
So I was hired in the marketing department. So I was writing all the press releases, and I was working for a woman I absolutely adored. I admired this woman, and she was just amazing. Her name was Kathy Keller. And Kathy was the marketing director for KTZZ Television. And she gave me the opportunity to get involved in TV shoots, but I eventually became Mr. KTZZ because the station didn't have an on-camera TV spokesperson. So for 22 straight nights, I gave away a brand new RCA color television set. And I remember asking them, what am I getting paid, to do this? Because I had to do a different promo every single night for 22 nights. They said, we don't have a budget to pay you.
Right.
I said, how about one of those televisions? They said, fine.
Yeah.
So I got a brand new TV out of the deal.
Well, that's a good deal.
That was the talent
right?
fee. That's how I was compensated.
That's good. Well, talent fees have come a long way, and actually, they're probably lower than they were back in the heyday. But yeah, no, that's cool. So then you forayed into TV, and then you have a lot of TV and radio things happening for the next several decade or so, right?
Yeah, I missed. I mean, when during KTZZ, I was actually approached by KISW, and I was stunned. In that Bo Phillips came to me and said, Scotty, you got a good set of pipes. You know the format. Everyone likes you. How would you like to do weekends? You got to start out doing overnights, though. Mm-hmm. I said, fine. You're going to pay me to play rock?
Back to overnights.
Oh, I didn't care.
Yeah.
No, I'm playing Van Halen and Iron Maiden and Bon Jovi. Like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
And one night I was on the air. It was about 1:30 in the morning. And the button that you had to push, the radio station obviously is all locked up because we were on Aurora Avenue back in those days. The button that you had to push that would cause the red light in the studio to go on that tells you someone's at the door went off. I'm thinking it's 1:30 in the morning. Who's here? It was Mike McCready, lead guitarist of Pearl Jam, with a half rack of beer. He wants to come in and play DJ. I let him. And I got punished for it afterwards.
Right.
I couldn't believe that what's the downside of letting a member of Pearl Jam play whatever the hell he wants to play on KISW?
At 1:30 in the morning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, I broke format.
Yeah. Well, what did he play? What was?
He played anything and everything. I don't remember, but I remember we didn't even look at the program log because I had my list of songs I was supposed to play. That went to the side.
Did you record that? Is that something that you have an air check of or something along those lines?
Truthfully, I don't know. I still do have a lot of my air checks, but I've not gone back to see if I have that specific show.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
But the phones lit up because when they heard,
for sure.
Even 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, they were still. It was Mike McCready that they heard.
How awesome is that? Who out of I know that there's been a lot of on air. There was more TV. There was radio stuff. We talked a little bit about. You were working at the station where they hired Jimmy Kimmel in Seattle. Is there somebody that stands out that's not like the most exciting person that you met, but it's like, this is the most impactful? Maybe it's Kathy, maybe it's somebody else. Like, this is the most impactful person in my radio career or my TV career?
Well, I mean, I've had a number of people that were impactful in retrospect. I mean, in my career, but in very different ways. Kimmel was very stubborn. He was a 23-year-old kid, and he didn't want to play by the rules. I could never get Jimmy to wear a KZOK shirt, even when we'd go out and do a live remote.
Why is that, do you think?
Truthfully, I don't know why. Jimmy just wanted to, he wanted to push buttons. Mm-hmm. He was, at that time, and I don't think it was arrogance, because he wasn't Jimmy Kimmel yet. He was just kind of anti-establishment. He didn't want to play by the rules.
Is that pre the Adam Carolla time?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So then they got together after that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But Kimmel got fired because he wrote this parody song about the owner of the Seattle Mariners, George Argyris, and he aired it in Morning Drive without permission, and it was not a very nice song. And
got fired that day?
No.
Oh.
No. But my phone rang after he aired it the first time. And it was Bill Knutson, who had been the general manager at KSEA when I was working at KSEA. And Bill knew I was that I was working at KZOK. Bill had become the vice president of sales and marketing for the Seattle Mariners. He calls me and said, "Scotty, you tell Kimmel he plays that song one more effing time, I'm pulling $50,000 off your radio station."
Well, that's something.
I ran down the hallway, pushed open the door. I looked at Kimmel. I said, "I don't know what you just aired," but I said, "The Mariners just called. They're threatening to pull $50K off the radio station." Jimmy looked at me and goes, "What? It was funny." He aired it a second time. He knew after that he was going to get fired.
Right.
And so Larry Sharp, who was our program director at the time, is the one that had the joy of firing Mr. Kimmel.
Yeah, and he wasn't there for very long, right? It was
10 months.
Yeah, it was less than a year, I thought.
Yeah.
When was that? Would that have been in the 90s?
1989.
1989. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, that would be pre all of the days with Adam back down in LA and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Just when he was getting his start. So there's a lot of people that have come through the radio stations and things like that. What was your and this is probably a question you're not going to be able to answer. What was your favorite morning show, like, to listen to?
Oh gosh. Believe it or not, we hired Gary Lockwood after he was done at KJR, and we brought him to KZOK. And I had heard all these rumors about Lockjock and how difficult he was.
Yeah.
Gary was wonderful.
Yeah.
He was great. I do recall, though, being at a live St. Paddy's Day remote at Jake O'Shaughnessy's, and Gary was on the air, and I remember thinking, part of my job is to make sure he doesn't have too much to drink and then jumps in his car, and right. I got to make sure this guy gets home okay. But it's tough to tell a person that they can't throw back a few beers when it's St. Patrick's Day and you're there at an Irish bar and restaurant celebrating St. Patrick's Day.
And doing the morning show, right? So so you got to have a few there.
Yes.
I think one of your life advice things here in what because I sent out a little questionnaire, not being afraid to ask for what you want. Give me a little bit of an example of that, and that I think is great for anybody, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think, and I won't go into this too much, but I just think that, we all hear the word no. We all get no's. That's part of life. But I do think that, and I give my parents credit here, I think they instilled in me early on that it's perfectly okay to ask. And that if you don't ask, you will never receive. And I think so often we tend to want to err on the side of caution. We may have that desire to ask, but we don't have the courage to ask because we don't like hearing no. What if they say no? They might look at me differently. They might think of me differently.
And what's interesting is they probably don't care.
Yes.
That's all in our own minds.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So I asked you for one word to tell a funny story, and your word is Oprah.
Okay. It's a long story here, but I say young kid, but a guy that I worked with in country radio in the mid 1990s. His name is Eric Logan. Eric and I were asked to start this country radio station here in Seattle called Young Country. Eric is from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. He grew up across the street from Garth Brooks. This kid knows nothing but country. When I first met him, he's wearing the Wrangler belt buckle, the Lee jeans, the boots. He's got the scarf. This kid looked country. I'm a kid from Bellevue, Washington. I'm wearing my little chinos. I took a shower that day. All my little hair's brushed. We couldn't have looked more different. But when it came to our philosophy about radio and how to program and run and market a radio station, we were absolutely in sync. And Eric is a very unique individual, and that the very first second you meet him, you know that he's wired differently. He thought differently, he acted differently. He was absolutely brilliant. And so he and I worked in radio here in Seattle. We both then got jobs in San Francisco at different radio stations at the same time, but we stayed in touch. We'd get together. Eric made the transition, though, from commercial radio into satellite radio when Sirius XM first started. And he got in kind of on the ground floor. He knew that I was up here in Seattle, but in 2011, he calls me. And during our radio years, he had given me the nickname BPG. BPG stood for Big Picture Guy, because I used to love to brainstorm. I'd bring everyone from the radio station into the conference room, and we'd brainstorm ideas on what to do on the air, what to do out at events. So 2011, my phone rings, it's Eric. He goes, BPG, can you meet me in Los Angeles? I said, yeah, why? And he goes, I've just been hired by Oprah Winfrey. I'm the new president of the Oprah Winfrey Network. He goes, I have to move Oprah and her company from Chicago. We're going to start this new television network. We have to be on the West Coast. We're going to be in Los Angeles. I need ideas. I need your help. I said, I'll be there. So I flew to LA knowing I was going to see Eric, but knowing I was going to have the opportunity to see Oprah. Knowing that Eric had just started in this position, I asked him privately before we went into Oprah's office I said, does Oprah have a sense of humor? He said, yeah. And I said, are you okay if I say this? I said, I don't want to throw you under the bus and make you feel uncomfortable. He said, no, go for it.
Make her regret hiring him.
So we're in our meeting, but I looked at Oprah and I said, Ms. Winfrey, I said, do you not find it somewhat ironic that you are sitting here with two Caucasian males to discuss the programming for a television network that specifically targets African-American women? I said, Oprah, I said, if anyone knows what Black women in America want to watch on TV, it's Scott Paine. And she busted up laughing.
Yeah, that's funny.
Phew. Yeah. Because I didn't want to piss Oprah.
Right, yeah, of course not.
But she has been, she obviously, she's been a huge fan of Eric. She put Eric on the cover of O Magazine.
Really?
She adored.
I thought there was only her on the cover.
No, I can show you. She put Eric on the picture. But what was interesting is that in 2011, Eric and I go back to his office, and it's just the two of us, and he said, BPG, he goes, I don't see myself lasting more than 5 years. I said, what? He goes, trust me, she's paying me well, but what she expects of me is off the charts. And I said, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, the stress alone is going to kill me. In 2016, 5 years later, guess what? My phone rings. He's given notice. The kid from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, who had moved to Los Angeles to help Oprah start her television network, discovers surfing. Every waking moment he has, he's on a surfboard out in the Pacific Ocean on Cloud 9. Eric becomes the president of the WSL, which is the World Surfing League. He's now running the largest surfing organization on the planet Earth.
Yeah. What an interesting turn that is.
So when he came and gave notice to Oprah and told her what he was going to do, she goes, you did exactly what I taught you to do. She goes, you're pursuing your passion. I couldn't be happier.
Yeah. That's great. That's awesome. So did you get to go and go surfing with him then? Did you go down and do that?
No, I did not. I did not. I've never been with Eric out on a surfboard.
Have you been surfing?
I've attempted surfing.
Yeah,
and I've come to the conclusion I'm not good.
I am not good either.
No, there's balance involved.
It's the jumping up from the water onto the board. I mean, I can use it as a glorified boogie board. That's about it. So,
yes. Body surfing, I love.
Yeah, no, that's definitely fun for sure. So, is there a moment in your life where it sounds like there's a lot of different moments, but a particular moment that changed like the direction of your life?
Yes. In 2018, I was diagnosed with something called encephalitis. And this just came out of left field.
What is encephalitis?
Encephalitis is swelling of the brain.
Okay. Oh, wow. That's serious.
I'm serious. Yeah. It's 3:30 in the morning. I wake up my wife and I said, what's for dinner? I started talking crazy. To her credit, she knew something was seriously wrong. Got me in the car, got to the hospital. The hospital realized that what I was going through was beyond what they were capable of dealing with. Got me in an ambulance, got me on a ferry boat, got me to Swedish hospital. I was in Swedish hospital for 47 days.
How Is it something that's curable, or do you live with something now, or how is that?
I live with the effects of the damage that was done then.
Yeah.
Yes, and no two cases of encephalitis are exactly the same. So everyone has quite honestly a very different or unique experience.
Anything in those 47 days of where you were like, is this it, or?
Twice I flatlined. So yes.
Yeah.
But I had a series of seizures, thankfully, while I was there in the hospital.
Yeah. And is it something that you had for years beforehand and they just caught it, or is it something that just came up like that?
It just came up. It's something, you can't use the word rare, but only about, it sounds small, but there's about 500,000 cases of encephalitis per year in the United States. But it's not something that we hear about often. Because it is somewhat unusual. It's much more prevalent in third world countries where someone gets bitten by an insect and they get a virus that way.
Interesting. So you don't know how you got it then?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure.
And then does that change like the way you look at life?
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
like in what way?
It's made me slow down and appreciate every single day.
Yeah.
Because up until the time that happened, I don't want to say I was phoning it in, but I was guilty of living a very kind of fast-paced life. Like, how much can I do in a day? And this, to me, has been a blessing in that it's been a giant wake-up call. And it's really caused me to reassess what's really important in life.
Yeah, you say you walk every day. Is that something that came from that discussion in your mind of like health-wise?
I walked previously, but I do make a point to go for a walk every single day just to give thought to the things that I feel warranted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says also that you like to go to the theater or concerts or things like that. What's like one of your favorite things to go to? Like, do you like musical theater? Do you like the ballet?
I love any good live performance, and I love some of the Broadway shows that do come through Seattle. But if I had to choose anything, I would much prefer to go to a live concert. I mean, I love a live performance, whether it's a small jazz performance at Demetrio's or a big show that's at Climate Pledge.
What was your first concert? And not a family concert. What was your first?
Yeah, because Mom and Dad did go with me to my first one, but.
Well, what was the one they took you to?
It was a Jesse Colin Young concert, and I think it was when he was back with the Youngbloods, if I recall correctly.
I know the Youngbloods.
But I've been fortunate. That was obviously one of the benefits of being in radio, was that we were able to get tickets to go to a lot of shows, and so I've been to some amazing shows. I got to see Bruce Springsteen in 1975 when he first performed at the Paramount Theater right after Born to Run came out. And I'd love to take credit and tell you I knew who Bruce Springsteen was back then. My best friend at the time calls me up and goes, "Hey, this guy named Springsteen's from New Jersey. He's coming. Yeah, we got to go." Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my Lord.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That must have been an amazing show. In those days, was he still doing the 3-hour shows and all that?
It was a 2-hour plus show, but back then that was healthy.
That was a lot.
That was a long concert.
And probably $2 for the tickets, like you said.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I wish I could tell you. I still have my tickets.
It might have been. Maybe you were comped. I don't know. But yeah. So when you look at this, we're all in this season of our life now. What is most meaningful to you?
Quality time with people I care about. That might sound a little corny and sound like a Hallmark card, but it's true. I'm really trying to make sure that I'm not taking life for granted.
So with that in mind, what does the future look like? What's up next? Is there a new chapter coming, or do we because I know you love what you're doing now.
I do. And just being at the age and stage that I am at, a number of people now are starting to ask, hey, when are you going to retire? And so I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing with 425 Magazine and Premier Media Group for about another 5 years. What retirement looks like, I have not yet kind of clearly defined, but I know that I need to give back. I've always wanted to volunteer, and I just think that that's really important, because the times that I've had the opportunity to volunteer and give back, it's felt good. It's felt right.
Is there a cause that stands out or is meaningful for you at the moment?
Nothing specific, but years ago I had a chance to befriend a homeless gentleman in Seattle. He had not been to the dentist in over 12 years, and his teeth were rotting, and he was in severe pain. And he would hang outside of a local Starbucks and I had a conversation about him with another customer I had met inside the Starbucks. This guy and I got other Starbucks customers to donate money specifically for this guy's dental work. I then went to a West Seattle dentist. I told her the situation. She agreed to do any dental work that he needed at her cost. And we raised about $6,000. He only agreed to go to the dentist if we would hold his hand and sit with him while he was in the chair. He was scared. He was afraid it was going to be painful.
Oh, for sure.
Even though I explained to him, Novocaine, they're going to make you numb. So Steve was on one side, I was on the other. We held Mark's hand during the whole time he got his teeth cleaned. But to see his expression and to see how happy he was to not be in pain after all those years, that was everything.
What a great story. And then you have, it's moments like that where you have, I mean, it's not about you and how you're feeling because of what you're doing, but it just, the reward from that, I mean, it's something that's unmatchable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
One of the questions we always ask is, what's your walk-up song? Like when you're going up to bat.
See, I want to say, what first comes to mind, it was just some really upbeat rockin' song, because I love rock and roll. But the song that I think that I sort of connect with the most right now is a James Taylor song called "The Secret of Life."
Why does that hit you?
Well, there's a passage in it. It's about appreciating the passage of time. The secret to life is enjoying the passage of time. It's not about the end result or achieving, a specific, result or outcome. It's about the process.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I think that because of the garbage I went through back in 2018 with the encephalitis and the hospitalization, I think because I'm looking at life a little differently, that resonates with me.
Yeah. Cool. I'm gonna look that song up. I don't know if I know that one. It wasn't like a big hit of his, was it?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No. Have you ever seen James live?
I have not.
Oh, Lord.
Good.
Oh, beyond good.
Well, and this gets us to our rapid fire round here, and I'll just jump to this question. What was your you talked about your first concert, but what was your favorite concert? Is it James Taylor? Favorite person to see?
No, in all honesty, it was Queen.
Oh, really?
Freddie Mercury live. Unbelievable.
Was this in Seattle?
Yes.
Yeah.
I still have the ticket stub.
Okay.
Yes.
At the Kingdom?
No, it was the Seattle Center Arena.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And Brian May, their guitarist, builds his own guitars. Why is Brian May's guitar, the Queen's guitar work sound so different and unique? It's because Brian May is a guitar maker, manufacturer.
Interesting.
And he's brilliant, I think. But I'd never seen Freddie Mercury until that night. And to say I was impressed and to say that this guy was a showman is an understatement. He was jaw-droppingly good.
Yeah. They would still be selling out arenas to this day. I have a feeling. Are you a morning or a night person?
I'm a night person.
Beaches or mountains?
Beaches.
Window or aisle?
Window.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
That's good. You like...
Is that a right or wrong?
No, it's not. How
about you?
I think everybody picks window. I don't know. I'm an aisle. I don't mind the aisle.
Oh, really?
I don't mind it.
You don't think that it'd be too easy for your foot to go in and someone's going to trip? Or?
I just think it's, actually I'm a center seat guy too. I don't even mind that. So I was on a plane once and this guy got very upset because there was a woman at the window who had a child. And I was on the aisle and he was sitting in the middle. And he goes, you could tell he was grumpy. And I'm like, I'll just switch with you. And then the baby the whole time didn't make any noise and was stroking my arm and all that kind of stuff. And the mom was so thankful for that. I mean, she was married, which is bad for me, but that's okay. But what's your favorite, what's your drink of choice? I don't necessarily mean alcohol unless it is, but what's your favorite drink of choice?
Well, and I hate to keep going back to this, but back to the whole encephalitis, the whole brain thing is I don't have to, but it's beneficial for my brain to drink a certain amount of water every day to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
And so I try to make sure that I always have water. But my drink of choice, one of the downsides of the whole brain thing is I've lost my sense of taste and smell. So I've not tasted any food since 2018.
That's interesting.
Which that's a whole different, well, that's another conversation we'll have.
Yeah.
But my drink of choice is a beer because even though I can't taste the beer, the carbonation of a beer on my tongue is different than the milk, water, coffee, or whatever I've had during the day. So I don't drink a beer to get a buzz. I drink it just because it's a little different in my mouth.
Yeah, interesting. So like without being able to taste, is there like a texture difference? I mean,
Yes,
you want to
texture.
eat certain things, right? Because of the
I like
texture?
crunchy. I like texture. I've become a fan of, because I can't discern any flavor. So I've learned that I'm much more aware of temperature and texture of food and drink.
What's something that you pretend to understand but don't understand?
AI.
Yeah.
Not there yet.
Yeah. No, it's
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, and this could be AI here. I mean, I don't even know, right? Who knows? Who knows? Who really knows?
I thought, can I just share a silly idea with
Yeah,
you?
for sure.
I thought it'd be fun to do a special edition of, I would just call 425 AI. 100% of the content is written and produced by artificial intelligence.
I'm not sure your writers and photographers and
No,
everybody would like that.
no. I just thought it would be an interesting concept. Just I would be curious to see, how different, if at all, does it look or does it read?
Best-selling issue of all time.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
Wouldn't
who
that be
knows?
funny?
That would, I mean, it would be funny, but it would also be terrifying.
Yeah,
also
exactly.
in
It
the
is a
same
little
stretch.
scary.
All right, this is the time you can promote your stuff. Like if people want to follow you or they want to check out the magazine if they don't know about it.
Well, Premier
list
Media-
all the magazines, by the way. You haven't done that.
Well, Premier Media Group, PMG, we are the publishers of 425 Magazine and 425 Business Magazine, South Sound Magazine and South Sound Business Magazine, Northwest Travel and Life Magazine. We just recently started Southwest Travel and Life Magazine, and then we just recently purchased West Sound Magazine. So each publication focuses on a different area geographically, but what's been new to us as a company is we made the decision to get into the travel and hospitality space after we knew that Alaska Airlines Magazine was no longer going to be published. And so Northwest Travel and Life covers Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, Alaska, British Columbia, and Wyoming. Southwest Travel and Life covers Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Southern Nevada, Southern California, and West Texas.
Lots of great publications. I mean, I've seen them all, and I do thank you. I get the 425 and something, and then I look through them and read them, and then give them to my mother, who really appreciates it. So
thank you.
She loves it. So thank you for that. Just real quick, I know we're over time, but why would Alaska Airlines stop doing that magazine?
Ad revenue was down. They weren't getting. You got to pay for the paper.
Yeah.
And to produce a magazine is not inexpensive.
Yeah. Do you struggle with advertising, or do you?
Thankfully not.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it.
No, because if you ad dollars, that runs the show.
Yeah.
In those, you have to generate a certain amount of revenue. And our paper costs have increased 3 times in the last year, 12, 18 months.
Funny they don't do something, because I think people enjoyed that on the planes. for
Oh,
sure.
I do too. And we had heard, and again, just kind of through the grapevine, that the weight of that many magazines on each flight was affecting the fuel usage, which I call BS on. I don't think that's
That's
true at all.
interesting.
But I thought that was funny.
Yeah, that is funny. All right, so if they want, again, what's the website to subscribe or to be a part of?
I would go to 425magazine.com
Okay.
for 425, but premiermedia.net that's our company website, and that would be the best place to go to learn about any of our publications.
Okay, did I miss anything here?
No.
Okay, well, thank you for being here.
Thank you,
Always
Steve.
love the conversations and hanging out with you. I learn something new every time, and it's fun hearing the stories. I mean, you have a lot of great life experiences, and it's so fun to hear about them.
I've
and all
been
of
blessed.
that.
I've been very fortunate, that's for sure. So thank you.